Hello, welcome to the Friends of Zeus podcast. I'm Zeus. This is the podcast. We are now doing episode 75, four,
Mhm.
74.
No, 75.
75, I think, yeah. And let me just get the business out of the way. You can find us, the Friends of Zeus, on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcast, Stitcher's acting weird, but I'll figure it out. YouTube, Facebook, and there's always rumblings on Rumble.
Hey.
Tonight we have a special guest. He's been on a couple times. He's one of our favorite guests, Michael EP. He comes from the podcast We Speak English Good, which is
Awesome.
a fantastic title.
Hey,
And what's your wife's? While we've got you here, what's your wife's podcast?
Well, she does do a podcast, but it's all through her Twitch stream. It's random. It's like twitch.tv/random mystique. She streams 4 days a week. Like she does mornings, so like it's like a morning show. She has like sound bowls. Oh my God, you guys got to see this. She just got this custom-made ukulele. It's an electric ukulele.
Get out.
That
thing is beautiful.
Fucking tits, yo. And if you're watching this on YouTube or whatever, if you're listening to this, stop listening to it and go and look at this because it's amazing.
So
No,
that's
go
a
listen, go watch it
ukulele.
on YouTube so you can see the majesty. It's a neck through. It's fucking has these DiMarzio hot rails in it. It has like, oh my God. I mean, it's just such a.
I've never seen anything like that.
I've always wanted to hear that Hawaiian cancer song on a electric ukulele.
Yo, it's tight. I don't know what cancer song you're talking about.
You know that, the one where they're like, la, la, la.
Oh, it's Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Cancer
sounds like-
song.
I don't know
It
where.
just sounds like something
What
they
the hell?
play at some child's funeral.
Oh,
Does
Right.
anyone refer to it as the cancer song besides
No.
you?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Just curious.
I'm not that original. But okay. We went way up for it already. We're already there.
We're off to
So,
a very typical start here.
So Michael asked me what our motivation for this episode was. We wanted to do just greatest soundtracks of albums, and my answer was people are dying everywhere of everything. We're doing it to ourselves. It's getting done to us. The world's just going to hell in a handbasket. I just wanted to do something that like was fun and we always look back on fondly. So I decided we should do an episode on our favorite soundtracks, which kind of encompasses like what music we're into anyway. But I think we're gonna have a lot of crossover first of all. But I'm saying if you want to include something that's a musical, we do that. I got one or two that I think are musical movies, not like Stage 2, but something that requires a soundtrack. But that being said, why don't we, Michael with the green background, not Mike EP with the sunglasses because he wears them at night.
Well, my lights are bright, and I woke up from a nap, so I'm just.
There you go. Plus, I think
But-
you're in a different time zone out there, right? It's like 7 hours before us or something.
In Ohio.
It's like 6 hours and 42 minutes different from
He's on Toledo Mud
the
Hen
East
time.
Coast.
Something like that.
I think it's like 5:17 out there right now.
Yeah, and it's already dark.
Yeah,
So.
it's 9:54 on the East Coast and it's 5:17 in Ohio.
In Ohio, it's on Ohio time.
Ohio
We have our
time.
own time here.
Whole
Just,
different time zone.
Yeah.
So,
We're crossing.
so I was, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, we've done top 10 lists before, and we just kind of start at the bottom and go around and give our number 10 and right on down the line and throw things at each other and make fun of each other's selections or, attaboys and all that good stuff. And there's plenty of tangent opportunities available. So I'm assuming these are like what, movie soundtracks, right?
Or musicals.
That
Or
Sure,
musicals. Okay.
Movie soundtracks or musicals, I definitely think.
I
is
have
the way to-
zero musicals on my list because, well, maybe I don't know. There's one that might be considered a musical, but I'm not really a big fan of musicals. Like Hamilton is probably like, or even or Book of Mormon. I'll give
Mhm.
that. But other than that, I just find musicals just cheesy, just terrible. So,
There is
personally,
a cheap quality to it.
IMO.
So I'm going to start it out lamely with the three that didn't make my top 10 as honorable mentions. And I'll just go through them real fast. And that way, if you guys have any honorable mentions, we'll do those first. In no particular order, the Graduate soundtrack, because I just like it. But it's kind of a rehash of other Simon and Garfunkel stuff. And it was kind of a producer kind of put it together, added drums to Sound of Silence, which kind of pissed off Paul Simon actually at the time.
They
But then
didn't get
ended up-
permission.
I'm sorry?
They didn't get permission.
No. They were Simon and Garfunkel were on tour in like Japan,
Oh my
and the producer had someone come in and lay a drum track down on Sound of Silence. And anyway, it's my favorite version. I mean, if you on the soundtrack, they have both versions. You can hear the one without the drums in it. But anyway, so Graduate, this is Spinal Tap, just because it just makes me laugh. And I loved it when I was a kid, like 11 years old, and just thinking Big Bottom was like an awesome song, like when I was 11 years old.
It's
And
good music still, yeah.
yeah, no, it is.
It's
And then
good.
the third honorable mention was Lost Boys, just because I love the atmosphere of it. But when I went back and looked at all the songs, I mean, there's some good songs on it, but it doesn't stack up to the top 10 I have. So that's my three honorable mentions.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah,
You can still, yeah. If it gets to your number, you can still bring it up. You got to bring the heat.
you can't bring the heat, bro.
I actually had one of the ones you mentioned much higher on my list, but
Yeah.
I would
it's
say
strong. That's what I was saying.
my number 10 would probably be The Big Chill.
Mm.
It's a hell of a soundtrack. But I don't have any honorable mentions. But The Big Chill is
Big Chill.
what is Tracks of My Tears is on that.
Yeah, it's a Marvin Gaye going.
Nights in White Satin.
Three
Yeah,
Dog
it's a
Night.
solid-
Yeah, Joy to the World. That's a solid song.
It's a solid
Yeah,
like late 70s, beginning of the 80s.
It's a little before our. It's more of like a boomer soundtrack, right?
that's very boomer of you, Zeus.
But no, I mean it's great. But I'm just saying it was definitely made for a generation, like a half generation ahead of
Oh
us.
yeah, like I said, it's like late 70s, early 80s, I think is when it came out. Somewhere on that. Smokey Robinson was on there.
Yeah.
Good Lovin'. My Girl by the Temptations. I mean, yeah.
No, it's good. It's good.
It's a good. I mean, some of the best things about these, it's almost the choreography of their selection of music. It to add contrast. There's a movie called No Country for Old Men. I'm sure we've all seen it.
Yeah.
What
great
most
movie.
people don't realize is that movie has no soundtrack to it at all. And that's one of the eerie things about it, I think, is that you're going through this whole movie and it's just
There's
the
no
gaffers.
sound.
Yeah, there's no music. You hear a radio once go by, but not even a song playing. It's like a news story. Like they actively pursued not playing music.
Really?
So, yeah. So
There's not
that's
even
really
like ambient music to build suspense.
none. They
That movie
purposefully
is-
had no music in it. I have a few tidbits on the music with some of these, but yeah.
You know
So
what,
that's my number
Zeus?
10.
Zeus, that's
What's
a
that?
great. No, I'm just saying that's a great thing to use for when they asked spies. Like when in the 80s when they had the Soviet spies here in the U.S. and they'd get captured and the CIA would be like, "Who won the World Series in 1927?" And like they wouldn't know. Like any American of that age would know. They could be like, did No Country for Old Men win the best soundtrack award? Like, yeah, I think it did. No, you're a commie. You're going right to jail.
Well, see, I wouldn't have been able to. I mean, I'm American, but when you look it up, there is technically 6 songs. and it's
Really?
end credits. And they're not really giving me, but it's not really given like a list. There's like some Spanish songs, Young Men Dead, uncredited, The Black Angels.
It may be playing in the car or something along
Yeah,
those
it
lines.
must.
Yeah.
If it is, it must be like Mike said, ambient, because there's no score.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
which is, I mean, which is really unique, like how powerful is music behind movies. I remember seeing this, I don't know, it was like a fight that it was like a cowboy movie in a fight, and they were showing how important music was. And when they showed the fight, it was originally like, there was like, and it's like two cowboys fighting, and the music was like going real hard. And then they show it without the music, and it's like it just plays so flat, like it looks silly even because and it almost like accentuates how fake the fight actually is. And
Interesting.
so it was. I really liked it. I really liked that example that I saw because I remember I saw that as a kid, and it had such a big impact on me because it's like it is really important to have these sort of sounds behind it because otherwise all you're seeing is the bullshit that is Hollywood because it all is just smoke and mirrors. But like what the mastery behind the filmmakers who made No Country for Old Men, who is help me out here, guys. They're
They
Coen
always use
brothers.
the Coen brothers. Yeah.
Coen brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then Cormac McCarthy, who wrote the novel, and Cormac McCarthy as a writer is just the bleakest and like just
Mhm.
bleakest writer ever. So like they're taking this classic novel and turning it into this bleak. And like I would have never noticed it because it's so well done. The whole movie is so well
and
done.
I'm going to correct myself. It says that there was 16 minutes sparsed out throughout it, but it was commonly known to me and others. I didn't pull that out of from a vacuum.
But it's not relying on a soundtrack like most.
I mean, 16 minutes,
movies.
and that was a solid long movie, if I'm not mistaken. It was, if I'm not mistaken, it was relatively long. So 16 minutes is nothing. Even out of 90 minutes, there's movies you go in, music doesn't stop, continues all the way through. Look at Star Wars, man. What would Star Wars be without the amazing music?
It would just be a bunch of people playing with toys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
that's what it would be.
You get cues from music, and music adds atmosphere. I mean, the classic thing like "Here Comes the Bad Guy," and it's like dun 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 dun. It gives anticipation and suspense.
How about Jaws?
Oh yeah,
Jaws. I mean, the
Dun, dun,
music
dun, dun,
is
dun,
the music is the suspense in Jaws. I mean, it's
right.
because you don't even see the shark. It's the hint. The hint of shark, right?
Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Dream Warriors.
I love.
right.
I love.
So,
I do love that movie.
What's your
What's your
number
number
10
10?
or honorable mention?
Well, you guys were mentioning honorable mentions. I didn't really think about that, but as you guys were talking, my dad loved American Graffiti at the movie, and the soundtrack is awesome because it's very much a reflection of what that movie was. It really encapsulated the whole vibe of that movie. But that's just an honorable mention. It's not my favorite. Like I love old songs. I love the Beach Boys, and Chuck Berry's great. And I'm just sort of looking through here. There's a lot of great. Booker T had Green Onions in it. Yeah. So it's definitely a great, but I'm not sitting here listening to the what I would call the oldies station. What's funny now though, at my age, the classic rock now is Nirvana and Pearl Jam and shit. So like
Doesn't
now
that fucking piss you off?
it does. It does. Classic rock. Fucking smells like Teen Spirit. I'm like, son of a bitch. What's going on? I'm aging.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I don't know. So American Graffiti soundtrack is pretty cool. Again, I don't listen to that kind of music constantly. It's not what I listen to all the time. But for my number 10, I put down Juno, which kind of there was a time when I was really into film, and that was in the 2000s, and now there's so much film. I feel like now it's so saturated, and I've become so busy, and I've really lost a lot of interest in watching movies at all these days. Like like especially during the pandemic, I sort of lost interest in watching TV shows. I just became very much drawn into myself and what I'm creating. And so, just in this last couple months, I've actually been, kind of going back and watching some shows, and like today I watched Terminal List, and then yesterday, which is a new show out on Prime. I'm reading the books, so like I was like, I gotta watch the show. But
I wasn't impressed. Are you?
what with Terminal List?
Yeah.
Well, I love the books. I thought the books were super exciting, but like the show itself is, yeah, it diverges from the book, but like I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay, but I think it is kind of a slow burn. It's one of those things.
I hope. I'm gonna give it a chance, but yeah, it's not grabbing me.
Well, yeah.
Not like The Boys. Now,
Which
that's
one?
a good show.
The boy. Oh
Boys.
my God, yeah, The Boys for a Prime show. Yeah, The Boys is amazing. I'm up to date on all of that shit. Like I love
I
that
was
show.
I was telling Mike about it, just to digress for a second, that
Sure.
it is the one show that says fuck what society thinks is good. We're gonna be as politically incorrect as we want. We're gonna do awful, awful things that are reprehensible. And man, it's crushing it. It's like it's such a good show.
Right, right. No,
So,
it
yeah.
goes back to that whole, like, how Netflix is kind of in turn, blaming their decline in viewers and subscriptions on this idea of having more inclusivity, and like the whole go woke go broke thing is sort of biting people in the ass right now, especially Netflix, which was the king for so
Mhm.
long, and now they're sort of losing traction. But yeah, The Boys definitely is pushing the boundaries. Their social
Such an
commentary
amazing
is great. And plus there's like an octopus sucking off a character, so like that's amazing. Uh, so
What about? I was telling Mike about the scene with the guy where he climbs in the other guy in a particular way and
yeah.
sneezes.
Yes, that is amazing. Yeah, the little Ant-Man, the Ant-Man
Oh my
parody
god,
guy. He's all like
so
on
funny!
cocaine and he sneezes, and yeah, it's amazing.
It's such
We
a
won't
good.
I'm gonna
spoil it
have
for
to see
anybody.
that. No, I haven't seen any of them. I haven't
It,
No
seen any.
redeemable qualities whatsoever, except that all those non-redeemable qualities make it awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. No, I was watching Irishman, and I always like, because I almost another honorable mention is Goodfellas, which has a fantastic
Oh
soundtrack
fuck!
too. But I was watching The Irishman the other day,
That one's
and
got a decent soundtrack to it too.
yeah, it has a great soundtrack. Martin Scorsese has a great taste in music.
Hmm.
If he, I'm sure he has some kind of influence on it. But The Irishman, the movie's okay. Like it's not my favorite Martin Scorsese. And mostly what it was is that the characters, like Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, they're all like in their 60s or late
Yeah,
60s or 70s.
70s. Yeah.
They were trying to like make Robert De Niro look like, I don't know, maybe in his 30s or something, or maybe 40s. I don't know, but like it took me
It's
out of
off-putting.
it really was,
They,
because like there was a scene where he goes and kicks the shit out of some storekeeper for talking shit to his daughter, and he's like trying to kick the shit out of him, and he literally looks like a geriatric man trying to like kick a soccer ball, and it's fucking, I'm just like, this is horrible. Like I feel bad for this old man who's like sitting here trying to be a tough guy, but like, you're not tough. Like this guy would get his ass smashed in. He's just this old man, like,
but
And
but they use
how about how
like
old Pesci
digital.
looks in that movie?
They use like digital whatever to like de-age them, and so they
yeah,
kind of look a little cartoony in certain scenes.
It
yeah,
was okay at points, but at other points it just didn't work. And
Well,
Pesci looks like he's 700. He looks like Yoda in that movie.
he does
He does
look
not
like
need to be
him.
acting like he's 50 anymore. He
Oh,
looks.
well, well, one thing,
All right, so
just out of question, just so for Juno, because I'm not familiar with the movie or the soundtrack. So,
okay.
what is it about the soundtrack, or who? Like, is it?
So And during that time, I mean, this was a time when I was young, early, in my 20s at least, and I really enjoyed the cinema. And we kind of got off because I was talking about how much I don't care about cinema anymore because it's sort of oversaturated. But like at this time, we had a lot of these independent movies, like Wes Anderson movies, and who's the guy? I forgot who directed this, but he has a lot of great movies. I'm losing my memory on who.
Oh, the guy, Ives Reitman,
Yes,
Jason
yes,
Reitman,
yes, yeah. Thank you.
Ivan Reitman's son.
Yeah, it's his son. So what's great about this is like, first of all, the story's great, and I really like Elliot Page's performance in this. I don't want to
Nice.
dead name Elliot, so we're gonna keep it Elliot Page. But they it's a great performance. Michael Cera, I love Michael Cera. He's just like that lovable goof that everybody loves. But the soundtrack was so great because it was it definitely was a reflection of like this reemergence of folk, and it had this lo-fi indie folk soundtrack to it. Had like
Gotcha.
Belle
And
Sebastian.
Mott the Hoople, for God's sakes.
What'd you say?
It had the band Mott the Hoople. You either know him or you don't.
No, I know him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, and then Sonic Youth obviously is a '90s hero band. Everybody loves them from the '90s, and Cat Power was definitely coming up then, and so like and they have
Velvet
like
Underground.
yeah, the Velvet Underground, the Kinks, like in the Kinks, like the song itself that they have, A Well-Respected Man. That song for me, like the Kinks. I felt like that song was so outside the Kinks's
Comfort zone.
repertoire,
Yeah.
and it was such a step away from what they usually do because the Kinks are kind of rocking and stuff. So it just had like a really unique sound to it, and that's basically why it was cool. Like it just matched the movie really well, and it just had that nice little warm feel to it that the movie sort of gives you.
And it was a great movie. It was
Yeah,
a
it was a
great,
great
I mean, it's
movie.
just a really well done movie.
Yeah.
So,
All right, Zeus, you're up. Number 9.
am I doing my 9? Wow, that's a tough one.
Unless you did an honorable mention.
No, I did. That Big Show is my 10. Man, I guess I would have to go with Dirty Dancing.
Oh,
Wow,
snap.
man.
Yeah, I mean I was considering that one.
I love, and honestly, you beat the shit out of me. Patrick Swayze's song in that movie was fucking good.
And she's like the wind.
He's like the wind or something. Yeah.
But
Do You Love Me was in
Do You
there.
Love Me? Oh man, there's so many good songs in it, and the
Unchained
movie,
Melody.
yeah. I mean, there's so many good songs.
Unless
in it.
was Unchained Melody from Ghost? Because like Dirty Dancing, Ghost, and Roadhouse. No, Dirty Dancing and Ghost. I
It's
get
not a
mixed
musical,
up.
but I love
sometimes.
Roadhouse.
I was remembering Ghost the other day. This was like 2 months ago, and I was like, yeah, it was like Martin Scorsese and Whoopi Goldberg were married, and I'm like I totally I forgot. No, Whoopi Goldberg's in it, but she's like a psychic or something. But in my mind,
wasn't it Only Fools Fall in Love or
No,
whatever?
it was Unchained Melody.
Yeah. Okay.
It was Unchained Melody that was in
But
Ghost.
Swayze, I mean, what a talent, man! That guy.
And
that
I heard he
soundtrack
was
was
one of the
good.
nicest guys too.
That
Like, one of the
soundtrack was
nicest-
like in the top. It was on the radio for like a year and a half when that movie came out. I mean, they just kept releasing songs on the radio again, like re-releasing them.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
go
But,
ahead, please.
yeah, Dirty Dancing, man. I don't know about you guys, but man, I watched that movie probably 30 times when I was a kid. It was always on, and people loved it. Patrick Swayze, what was her name? The girl, Jennifer Grey.
Jennifer Grey is so hot in that movie.
Oh my God,
Before
she
all the
was
surgery.
amazing.
Yeah. Which is really funny is that like how she lost so many fans when she got surgery on her nose to fix her nose. Everybody was like so, like that was like what people liked about her, this unique look.
She was like the girl next door,
Mhm.
and then she went all glam.
Stunning. She was stunning in that.
Yeah.
I thought she was cute when she was in Ferris Bueller like 3 years before that,
Mm.
I noticed her as being just
What's weird is, oh yeah, Hungry Eyes, Hungry Eyes. Yeah,
Eric Carmen, right?
oh, I don't know. Yes, Eric Harmon. But the interesting thing about that movie is that it's like this 40-year-old dude like trying to bang on like a 16-year-old. So like,
A little weird. Yeah, that wouldn't get made today. That would not get made today. At least not as a love story. It wouldn't get made.
No,
Actually,
it'd be a crime drama.
interesting. We got to throw in some interesting trivia when we know it. Little interesting thing about Dirty Dancing. So it was filmed, like all the lodgings and a lot of stuff with the lake was filmed at a place called Mountain Lake Resort outside Blacksburg, Virginia. And I went to
Oh,
school
really?
at Virginia Tech. We used to go up there all the time. There's a lot of caving opportunities up there. Anyway, the lake, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's got this thing where like every 80 or 100 years, it drains completely. This thing is
oh,
like scores of acres large. It's a huge lake. And it's the highest elevation lake east of the Mississippi. And like 15, 16 years ago, when I went to school, there was a lake. But like 15, 16 years ago, it just drained to nothing. And over the years, it's been slowly filling back up. It's some sort of geological phenomena that happened. Anyway, that's it. That was my little trivia for Dirty Dancing. I just thought that was interesting.
no,
Okay.
that's a big lake to drink.
Thompson.
It's a big lake to drain.
Mm.
So Tom, we're gonna finish our nines,
Nine.
and you can jump in with your 10 and 9, and then we'll jump back. So
Okay.
I did honorable mentions before, so I'll do 10 and 9 to catch up. I had Pulp Fiction as my number 10.
You piece of shit.
Man.
I really liked it. Yeah, no, I mean I liked it, but yeah, I don't know. I put it number 10, and then number 9, which was like an awesome soundtrack for a horrible movie, was Batman Forever.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
just
Is that did they have
freaking
Kiss from a
rocked.
Rose on there?
Yeah, it had Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss
That
Me,
is
Kill
a
Me
good
from
song.
U2. Has PJ Harvey on it, Kiss from a Rose. Offspring is on it, Nick Cave, Method Man,
like-
Michael Hutchins,
I do
Flaming
like,
Lips.
the
Yeah.
Offspring a whole hell of a lot.
And it was such a horrible movie and such a great soundtrack. Anyway,
Which one was that? Was that the second Michael Keaton one? No, that wasn't Psych.
That's
That
the
was
one
the
with
third.
Schwarzenegger and
Oh,
It's
yeah,
Val Kilmer, isn't it? Val Kilmer
is
and
it?
Schwarzenegger. Well, it's Val Kilmer as Batman, and it's like Schwarzenegger and Jim Carrey and
Uma.
Thurman.
And Val Kilmer, that dude didn't age well.
wow, he aged what's the opposite of aging?
Oh, Tommy Lee Jones was in it too. Two-Face was in it.
Oh, Two-Face.
Yeah, and
okay.
Jim Carrey is the Riddler.
Riddler. Okay,
Freeze.
so it
man,
wasn't.
You know what else is on that? You
Was it
Two,
Kilmer?
Hold Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me.
Yeah,
That was
which
a
is
great song.
one of their best songs, I think. I mean, that's a freaking power song.
That is actually not a bad album.
Yeah. So how
But-
about your number 9? Like,
The shit compared to Pulp Fiction, asshole.
I know, man. Like you put that before Pulp Fiction. I'm just like sitting here, like fucking what?
I love Pulp Fiction. I love it. I got tired of it. I don't know, but it is a great soundtrack. It is fantastic.
That's dead, baby. So my number 9, again, this is going into my years of watching, like loving film in my 20s, and Little Miss Sunshine with Steve Carell, and fuck, I can't remember the rest. But the reason why I love this soundtrack so much is because it has it introduced me to a band called Devotchka and Sufjan Stevens. Both of those bands are just incredible. They were like the darlings of, indie, back in the day, like Rolling Stone. I had a subscription to Rolling Stone before they went like just totally lame.
Crazy. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did too.
They're just terrible now, but they were like the little darn, like them and Connor Oberst from Bright Eyes, who's gone off the deep end as well lately. But who hasn't, I guess. But it has just such a great like Devonchka's in it. I love the feel that it has for the movie, and
It's a great movie.
Yeah, it's a fun movie, you know. It gets dark, it gets sad, but you know,
Mhm.
in the end, everyone comes together, and
Alan Arkin dies, and
Oh
my
the
God,
girl's
he's
amazing.
doing a heroin because what the fuck?
why not? Yeah, he's just I'm gonna just do heroin now. What's interesting is that little girl Olive, she was wearing a fat suit in that movie.
Really?
Yeah, because
Wow.
because she what didn't they were gonna because at the end they sort of go and do a talent show
Yeah.
or no one of those beauty shows or
Beauty
whatever.
shows, beauty pageant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beauty pageant. So she was actually wearing a fat suit because she actually wasn't that chunky. That
Probably, that movie probably started the craze, like the public knowledge of how those pageants work and all too. Because
yeah.
I really feel like after that is when you started seeing like all these little, like John Bonet was right around that time, I think.
No,
So
John
like,
Bonet was in the 90s.
Yeah, that was
was it?
earlier.
When was Little Miss Sunshine?
2006. So like
Oh
mid
wow, really?
2000.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. No, that one had a great soundtrack. That I don't know any of the artists on it, but I know that like there was a vibe and the music was certainly like it flowed. Everything flowed well with that movie. That movie is a masterpiece, honestly,
It's
in
very
a lot of
good.
ways.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
You know what? I just so I can, as an honorable mention, I did want to throw in Gross Point Blank. That movie had one hell of a soundtrack to it too. And another John Cusack movie with the one where he's
Say anything.
Say Anything. Those are my two.
In your
throwaways.
eyes.
So,
Peter Gabriel.
In Your Eyes is an amazing song.
Yeah, Peter Gabriel's awesome.
So Tom, give us your 10 and 9.
Oh gosh.
It better not be Pulp Fiction, goddammit.
Oh,
Pulp
sorry,
Fiction,
man.
no.
So,
You got to be a little controversial on these, right?
Stir the
Why,
pot.
did he
You
not?
got to stir the pot.
EP, did you not like Pulp Fiction, or
No, he
everybody
just
just
thought,
said that?
I put it at 10. So,
Yeah.
Oh, EP, you wanted it higher?
oh yeah.
Yeah, I love that soundtrack.
I'd
It
like
is a
it
great
higher, but
soundtrack.
my first 9 are just so rocking.
Oh, he has a fire list coming. Okay. Hey, fair enough.
Picking a top 10 soundtrack, it's really tough because there's different types of sound. There's the ones like Pulp Fiction where you're just grabbing a hodgepodge of songs from that are already out there and you're putting them you're trying to blend them with the movie.
Yep.
And then there's other movies where the soundtrack is 100% original. There's ones with the scores. Sometimes you have musicals, obviously, which could probably be in their own category.
We're putting all those. Those are all. It's more about what moved you. It's about.
Right.
Yeah. What.
Yeah, but Tom's right. There are different types.
And they
Right,
when they all
but-
move you in their own way.
Yeah.
So then
But
there's
which are the ones that, if you were to go and buy 10 soundtracks, be it for a musical, be it for a movie, what would be the top 10 that you would buy? Is kind of what we're going with. So, like, you like Grease? Fuck yeah, man! It's great. It's a great movie. Great soundtrack. I don't know that I'd buy the soundtrack right away though.
well, again, I mean, a musical, and it's all original music, I think, written
Typically.
for that screenplay. So, I mean, that Grease, the Sound of Music, just great songs in there built into those movies. But you're like, okay, in trying to come up with a favorite top 10 soundtracks, and I looked online, I was cheating a little bit. You can't find 2 top 10s that are the same. Nobody agrees. I mean, there's just so many to choose from.
Well, we're not even agreeing. Mike picked Pulp Fiction number 10. Clearly, Mike EP and myself have it far higher on the list.
But there's
But
so
not-
many others. There's so many. I mean, there's literally so many.
Mhm.
God, I don't even know where to start. I can give
Do
you.
you want us to come back?
Okay, the good, the bad, and the ugly
Oh,
soundtrack.
okay.
Absolutely
Yeah, spaghetti
perfect.
That's a solid, yeah.
I mean,
And it's one that we would know if we heard. We would at least be able to guess. Oh yeah, that's definitely.
oh, you
like-
would know it if you heard it. Yeah.
The
And-
Italian composer who did that. I mean,
Morricone.
yes, it's just incredible.
he did all of those. Fistful of Dollars.
For a few dollars more.
The what was interesting about that is that Danger Mouse ended up doing a kind of an ode to Marcone, and what was the name of that album? Danger Mouse.
Danger Mouse.
Danger Mouse
Yeah.
is a producer. He was like
MAUS.
a part of he was a part of like of Gnarls Barkley. I don't know if you're familiar with Gnarls
Yeah.
Barkley. But he's like a pretty big producer. He's produced for like the Black Keys, a lot of the Black Keys albums. He's produced for Beck. He's produced for he also has a band with a guy from I can't remember. Fuck, see, I'm just a burnout. But it's called Broken Bells.
I love them, man.
Yeah,
I
Broken
love
Bells.
Broken Bells.
Let me see.
I'll give you my number 9.
Yeah, please go ahead.
While you're going. And there's just it's so difficult to put them in any order. How about the soundtrack to the movie Rocky? Was that
Yes.
the perfect
Oh,
soundtrack
shit,
of
yeah.
all time?
Final Countdown's on that, right? Yeah. That.
No.
That's not
Rocky.
it.
No, Final Countdown was in the
Europe.
movie Final Countdown.
Yeah.
Was
Europe.
it?
That was a different movie.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Well, no, Final Countdown is
Whoa.
called Europe from 1987.
I'm such an
It's
ass.
the final countdown.
Yeah.
That
Too
was a
much
great
metal
movie.
for one
If
man.
that's a forgotten gem.
Now-
that movie
but
called
I don't
Final
Now,
Countdown.
now I'm
Yeah, but
being
that was a
rude.
different. That it was not in the movie Final Countdown.
My bad,
It was.
everybody.
It was not
No,
the
Final Countdown, the
Charlie
movie-
Sheen, Martin Sheen movie.
I don't think it was in.
It
the
wasn't in that movie.
No, I think Final Countdown came out before 1987. I think.
There's no way that was not in that movie. Okay,
There's
you
a
go
way.
on. I'm gonna Google it.
Okay.
You guys go to number 8.
I know my
It's
Europe.
gotta be in there.
So
But
I'm
Rocky
number 8.
is Rocky not in your top 10?
It's not, but
Yeah,
it,
but
it's
I think
great.
we're leaning
I mean-
more.
Dude, Final Countdown was in.
Final
It was in
Countdown.
Rocky 4, I think.
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
well-
Everything Rocky was all like Foreigner and
Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the
Rocky
Tiger,
III,
Tiger,
yes.
thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll
The
give
Eye
you
of the
that. but
Tiger. The
Survivor.
Thrill of the Fight.
I don't associate Final Count. I mean, maybe it was in the movie,
No,
but
I wasn't.
I don't associate.
Survivor, Foreigner,
Oh.
they're all very Final Countdown-y kind of bands to a
Final
Never
certain.
mind. I was wrong. Tom,
It's
you're
okay.
right. I'm an asshole. I'm still an asshole, guys. I'm still the
Was
asshole.
Was Final
No, Mikey,
Countdown in
you're a
Final
sweet
Countdown?
boy,
Wait, I'm
Mikey.
looking it up. Go ahead, go to number 8.
Okay, number
Um,
8. Number 8, Zeus.
So
Start us
for
off.
me, I'm gonna go with a little film called Train Spotting. You might.
Oh yeah,
The one.
Iggy Pop's on
Iggy
that.
Pop.
I'll
yeah.
just give you a couple. Iggy Pop.
Lust for Life. That's a great.
That's a great song. What else? Blondie's on there. Run DMC's on there. I want to say the Clash is on there. Queen, Radio Gaga, fucking great song.
What's that like? 10 to 10. I can't even know that. Wait, name everyone. What are all the songs? Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah. Oh, let me go back.
There's one song on there. I can't remember what it's called, but it's freaking awesome.
Tilt,
let's see.
relax, only God knows, dreaming, it's like that, rain or shine, slow, slippy.
Slippy.
Is that it?
That
Underworld?
is a bad ass song, man. I love that song.
I like the name of this other
Born-
song.
it's called Born Slippy? I think it's called Born
Mouthwash.
It's called
What a
Slow
great-
Slippy.
Slow Slippy, or maybe it's.
Yeah, but that movie is all about the music. The music is such a big part of that. Love that movie.
Very good.
You sure there's not another one called Born Slippy on there, or some other Slippy song?
Born Slippy is on the trains. Yeah. it's
Yeah, that song is rocking.
Number 8, Mikey.
All right.
And I wanted to close up. Oh, are you talking about Michael?
Michael.
Yeah, we're going. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So number 8, I had Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Fistful of Dollars, and for a few dollars more, and Morricone in general.
That's fair. I mean, those are solid. And just to sort of close up the loose end I brought up earlier, the Danger Mouse and Danielle Lupi is Daniele Lupi. The name of the album is Rome, and they actually go to Italy. They actually like get choruses from there. I think they're using some musicians from those original soundtracks. and I think who's on this? There's just like so many amazing. There's amazing guest artists on there. I wish I could fucking find the guest artist, but I guess I can't.
Well, that whole period of like that whole genre was unto itself. I mean, we're talking about, was it Fellini?
No, the director.
He did all those spaghetti westerns for a while.
Sergio Leone.
Yes,
Sergio Leone. He he just owned that, except for, I'll say, Once Upon a Time in the West, which I don't think was Leone. Was very much like those movies, but it was
him.
It was him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, so there you go. He owned them all.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a fucking movie. That's
No,
right.
he was great.
That one, actually, even though I love Eastwood and I love, Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Once Upon a Time in the West is just an epically amazing film, especially for the time, as violent as it was, and
it's got Charles Bronson in it, man.
Let's
got
go.
is it Jack Elam is in it?
I think so, dude. It's still got one of the best opening scenes. Sorry, we got to say this.
He's in there with the fly.
Well, I don't know about that one, but when Bronson comes into the train station and the guys come to pick him up, and they've got like it's 4 guys on horseback, and the train leaves, and Bronson's on the other side of the tracks, and one of the guys says, "Oh man, looks like we brought one few horse for you," or something like that. We didn't bring enough horses. Or we brought one few too many horses. I can't freaking talk. Anyway,
too many
Bronson's like, looks like he brought 3 too many.
Right.
It's like
He only needs one. Right.
Yeah, he only needs one horse.
So there's a little known thing in Hollywood. They have these guys called fly wranglers, right? And if you had to have a fly doing something in a movie, they actually tie this little thin filament to the fly, and they fly it, and they limit where it can fly, so it tends to land where they want it to. So Jack Elam, I'm pretty sure it's Jack Elam that's in
He's
there.
the one with the crazy eyes.
The crazy eyes. There's one scene where he's sitting there and this fly is just bouncing all over his face. His face is dripping sweat. The funny thing about it is they didn't use a wrangler. He just sat there and let that fly bounce all over his face.
It was like the same scene, like right before the train got there.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, knowing that, because it's just like, that would I'd be bad.
And Henry Fonda is vicious in that. And he was playing against type. He was playing the baddie.
Oh man, that's such a good movie. Such a dark movie.
Makes him even darker because he's normally a good guy. All right, Mike, you're up. Number 8.
I went Forrest Gump. The soundtrack is solid. It's a great encapsulation of the time periods they're covering on there.
Yep.
Maybe one of the best.
And a hard movie to do a soundtrack for because it covers so much time.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I think they hold on, let me pull it up just because they like.
There's not a dud on that soundtrack.
No, I used to jam that so much when I was a kid, like just over and over and over again. And I think it was a double disc too.
Yep.
That Joan Baez on there, the Supremes, Doobie Brothers, Bob Seger, BJ Thomas, Joy to the World makes it. Wasn't CCR on? Yeah, of course. Fortunate Son when they're doing the helicopters.
Any Vietnam movie has to have that.
Has to have CCR.
There's not a lot of albums that you can turn it on and listen to it from start to finish as it's delivered and not stop at some point. Or rather go do it all the way from start to finish. This is one of those albums. I can listen to that album. I've done it. I mean, short of putting in the second CD, but yeah.
Yeah, man.
Really fucking amazing album.
It's a solid. And the movie's cool, Apparently there's a Forrest Gump too. There's a book, but
yeah, it's called Another Gump.
Oh god.
And I heard it's awful.
You've read it?
It's good.
I heard it's awful.
Oh,
I read it. It was good.
Yeah, it's as good as the first one.
No,
Not a chance.
it was a good read.
Everybody expects the second one to be as good as the first one. It's like, man, how do you like for any movie? I mean, what's a movie where the second one? I mean, like Rocky, right? Rocky. I feel like the second one, the third one. I thought that those movies got progressively better
There are
as
some.
the series went on.
I'll give you
Aliens.
my number 8 soundtrack, which is a movie where the second one was good. Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay.
Is
Fair
that
enough.
not a great soundtrack?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
just
yeah.
classic soundtrack.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back was.
Tom went heavy on scores for this.
Which
I
is
like
I did
scores
mind.
better.
Yeah.
They're more like specific. I mean, some songs they do get kind of latched onto a movie, like the Reservoir Dogs. That one, Stuck in the Middle with You.
Right.
You know, some songs whenever you hear them, you always think of the movie. But there's usually for me, it's like the score is more iconic.
Yeah.
The Reservoir Dogs soundtrack is awesome because you can take Little Green Bag and take you and your buds walking and slow it down, and it looks awesome. Like with Little Green Bag playing in the background, like the credits.
Yeah.
It just always works. Like it doesn't even matter. Like you can do it for
Madonna's
anything.
big dick in this year, and
You just cut to a medium close up of the wide shot and then the medium close up of each person with that song. It's beautiful. It works.
Yeah, man.
all right. So whose turn is it now? Me again?
Number 7.
Went 7.
Yeah.
I am gonna go with. Damn. Yeah, you know what? I'd probably have Forrest Gump higher. So I'm gonna go with a little black gentleman from Milwaukee.
Oh
Talk
man.
about life being an electric word.
Minneapolis.
Forever. Is it
It's
Minneapolis?
like who's from
Yeah.
Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
1,
Milwaukee.
2, 3. Cut that.
The musician that made Milwaukee famous.
Purple Rain. that album is fuck you.
Put Milwaukee on the map.
Purple Rain
And
is
tried to be all poignant and smart.
no, man. He's awesome.
Shit
man.
all over myself. Goddamn, that's a good album.
His greatness is going to be like discovered and realized by
transcends Minneapolis,
multiple
man.
generations
He's-
past us.
He's
Well, he
more
did
than
that
just-
Batman movie. He did the one what was it, the first Batman, where he
first-
did the
first
entire
Batman.
soundtrack all by
Mhm.
himself.
It
Bat
was
Dance.
amazing.
Did he really?
Yeah. He did the whole soundtrack for Batman, the first
Didn't
Batman
like
with
it
Michael
though,
Keaton.
but
Yeah.
Is it the Michael Keaton one?
Yeah.
The first one. Damn, that's dope.
yeah,
I mean,
but
he's
Pulp
just
Fiction-
incredible.
I mean,
He is just amazing. He is amazing.
and he was already huge before he did Purple Rain. Like, didn't he do 19? What was the one before?
1990,
1999.
1999. And
Yeah.
he had a couple. He had like 2 albums in the 70s. I thought.
And he had such
He's
like
one.
he had like this Motown meets like rock and roll.
He was
Like,
prolific
Wilson
as an
Pickett meets
MF
Jimi
too.
Hendrix kind of vibe to him. Like he just did some shit that had not been done. He made his own mold,
Hit-
you know?
I will say his performance on Saturday Night Live, where it was the first time Lorne Michaels let someone do a full 7 minute stretch, 7 or 8 minute stretch without breaking it in two, like they always do. That is amazing, man. That is such a great 7 or 8 minutes. And then his halftime show for the Super Bowl I don't think that's ever going to be topped.
And he was like
For a Super
right
Bowl
there.
halftime show.
He was like right in the heart of the beginning of MTV. There were always these gay rumors. I remember you used to hear the one that he'd jerk off his guitar and it would spray stuff all over it. Like just all these crazy rumors. Like he was a rumor magnet.
And yet a quiet guy.
Apparently pretty much a sweetheart of a guy, short of the fentanyl thing.
Are you familiar with that story that Charlie Murphy told on Chappelle about Prince making him pancakes?
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that,
Yes,
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
Basketball, yeah.
comedy gold, man. It's comedy gold. It's absolutely great. And then he released the song, what was it, Breakfast
Can't
in
Wait.
Bed?
Breakfast can't wait.
Breakfast
Can
Can't Wait.
Or
Yeah.
can wait.
Can
Breakfast
Wait.
Can't
And he
wait.
put
And that song,
Chappelle on his
Yes.
cover.
and
it's
that
so-
song is dope too.
Yeah.
That song is so good.
He reinvented himself over and over. Like from 1999 to Purple Rain. I keep wanting to say Pulp Fiction. Like just different sounding albums. And then like what, a couple years later, he does Kiss, which is nothing like anything he did before. And you wanted to hate it, but tell me you don't like that song.
I love that
It's a great
song.
He
I
was
love that. I love the tones of the
Right.
guitar, like
Yeah.
just how upfront his voice is and almost dry, how dry his voice is. Like there's not a lot of like reverb and stuff on it. It's just like a very dry song that just is just every piece of it, every rhythm on the guitar, every rhythm of synths and drums is all perfectly placed to make this
he
really
was a composer. He was more of a
Oh
composer
yeah.
than he was just an
So
artist.
Mike, I'm not a musician, but I've always regarded him as like an amazing guitarist. Is he? I mean, is he
Yes.
He's a
like?
multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah,
But he was
And,
very he
and
was an
he's
excellent
great at all of them, yeah.
yeah. I mean, he's so. I mean, you would consider him a like
Oh
a
yeah,
very
he
He
accomplished
would be on the
guitarist.
list. He would be
He
on like the
fucking
Randy
ripped.
Rhodes.
I mean, I
Jimmy-
did, but I don't know anything. I just so yeah.
He'd
Okay.
be a top 20 probably. He's yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
rips, man. He definitely rips. Like you see those, you see them playing live and stuff. I mean, the thing was that he ripped on like a lot of instruments, and like his first album, he just recorded. I'm pretty sure he recorded by himself. I think there was a
Wow.
couple. I mean, he just would. That's what he did. You know, he was just programmed. Like he seemed kind of spectrum-y to me. Like I bet he was on the spectrum. He was probably like
Asperger's.
yeah, something like that. Because go ahead.
Yeah. No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
Well-
He just seems like he was just drawn to making music, and that's like what he did. You know what I mean? Like,
And- I'm sorry, and here's the other interesting thing about it. It's not, could he rip as hard as like Randy Rhoads? Maybe not, or Jimi Hendrix, no. But again, that's why I say he's a composer. Like it wasn't like the speed or the fiery way he did it. It was the collection of notes and how he did it, and like how he put all those different sounds together. Like
but
Well,
he
just the
could,
whole style too.
he could probably, he could do the speed of like Randy Rhoads and stuff too. Like he
Probably,
had
but-
that in him, but he definitely had his own style. Yeah, like Mike was saying, he definitely has his own style. He has his own presence. He has his own sound. Like he
Mhm.
has a
and he
specific sound.
created other artists.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He was
all
more
these
of
other
like
people
a
came out.
producer. I mean, he was a
amazing.
big. Yeah, he got a lot. He gave a lot of people their start for sure.
Sheila E.
Maybe I
And
should have moved him up on my list.
And plus, the other thing I liked about him, I've always
Right
liked
back.
artists, whether they're musicians or filmmakers or actors, who shift gears and don't do the same thing again and again and again. And
Mhm.
Prince, like from one album to the next, he could like completely shift gears on you and like go in a whole other direction and still make it work. He was
Absolutely.
that was a big loss losing him.
Yeah.
So for my number 7, just a little story on this one. So my dad had some records, like maybe like 2 little boxes of LPs. So it was like Kingston Trio, Paul Simon or Simon Garfunkel stuff, Bob Dylan, Joan Baez. Like that was like, and it was like Under the Stairs. Like he hadn't listened to it for years. My sister and I would go through there and pull stuff out. CCR, like every CCR album. And he had this album in there, Henry Mancini, who I didn't know who he was. And
No,
Henry
he's
Mancini is
huge.
amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's the soundtrack for Experiment in Terror from 1962, which is sort of a little bit of a goofy horror movie. And the soundtrack for that, the title track for it, and everything else on it is so fun. It's sort of like creepy drive-in horror movie, 60s goofy, bizarre. And I started listening to it when I was a kid. I still have it. And it's probably one of the albums that I've listened to the most in my life, because I'll just crack it out like every few months, or like, and I'll listen to the whole thing like 3 times. But anyway, it's a fantastic soundtrack. And the ironic thing is, I've never seen the movie. I've never actually seen the movie, and I'm a movie guy. Like I got to make a point of seeing it. I've never seen the movie, but anyway. So Experiment in Terror by Henry Mancini. It's great soundtrack.
Why do I want to keep saying that Henry Mancini did the Pink Panther song?
He
He
did.
did.
Oh,
He
okay.
did.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
he did Pink Panther. Yeah.
All right.
I
Thank
was
you.
just looking at. He also did The Godfather.
Oh,
that
shit.
theme, that main
Mm.
theme for The Godfather. Which
I did
should
not know
probably
that.
be on our top tens. But yeah, he was huge.
Yeah, man.
So you're up, Mike, for number
Oh.
7.
So number 7 for me is Boogie Nights.
Oh, wow.
Boogie Nights, P.T. Anderson's. I think when was that? Maybe in the 90s, maybe late 90s. I can't remember.
99 or something like that.
Yeah.
98.
Somewhere in
mean,
there. Yeah.
Boogie Nights, just I remember watching that movie and just, Dirk Diggler, like one of the best, names for a porn star ever, just the whole album has, I mean, and I remember having the CD and it was another double CD. And there was not only was it a double CD, but there was 2 volumes. There's so much music packed into this that it was that you had to that there was a volume 2 with a whole nother a whole nother double album of music. So I just love it. I mean, like disco is fun, but there's I remember the scene, my favorite song off of that, and I can't remember what the hell.
Saturday Night Fever. I'm just guessing.
No, Boogie Nights.
Oh,
What's the who does motorin'? Motorin'. 1, 2, cars for flight. I'll look it up. But that scene on there is just fantastic. Which I can't remember what. Is it the scene where they're
Night Ranger?
Night Ranger.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's it's the scene where they're like there's somebody, they're in the house buying cocaine and they're about to rob them, and that song's going off, someone's lighting firecrackers in the house, and it's just like the most fucked up shit, and like they end up killing somebody. I think, right, they end up shooting somebody and they run out.
William H. Macy.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. William H. Macy finds his wife banging somebody, and she's always fucking other dudes. Like he's like the cuck of the century. It's great. It's just
Here's
such
a funny thing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Please go ahead. What's the funny
There's
thing?
a hilarious thing about that movie is, the song that him and John C. Reilly are singing in the beginning? It's not a song. You got the touch.
Yeah.
Right? So here's the funny thing. It's a full song, but it's just a piece of shit song. It's like so 80s. It's ridiculous.
Right.
So Tom will relate to this. We are intimately connected to Poland, and there's this guy, Adam Małysz. He's a famous ski jumper, right? And I'm over in Poland, right? And they have this highlight reel of all his jumps and how awesome he is. What song are they playing in the background through this? You got the touch.
That's amazing. And they're like not hitting the notes either. Like it's all, they're singing off key. It's fantastic.
Gotta check out that soundtrack.
Oh my God, just watching that and going, this is Poland in a fucking nutshell.
Let's go.
They took that song and they were like, this thing's got pizzazz.
Screen doors on submarines. Let's go.
So
All right.
funny.
Number 7.
Yep.
Can I cheat a little bit? I'm going to give you a composer who did
Many
a
movies.
bunch. Hans Zimmer.
Oh yeah.
I love
Oh yeah,
Hans Zimmer.
didn't you like Beverly Hills Cop in?
No, that's Axel.
Oh, Axel F.
Um,
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer did Pirates of the Caribbean, Da Vinci Code, Inception, all of those. And a lot of them, they sound very similar, and I love the sound. And I've got like a bunch of his soundtrack titles like
That's
downloaded
fair. Yeah.
on my playlist. So, and I don't know if any of the individual movies. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean is a great soundtrack, and Inception and Da Vinci Code, but just Hans Zimmer in general, I just wanted to throw him out as my number 7.
Yo, but he also did Never Ending Story. He was a part of the Never Ending Story.
Never ending story, man.
Dude, George.
Did he write that song, or he must have did something else?
That's a whole different band. But he
The
did a
Luck
lot
Dragon.
of the synthy stuff. He did a lot of the synthy stuff, like Giorgio Moroder did a lot of
Moroder,
stuff.
yeah.
Moroder,
Midnight Express, right?
Did he do that too?
No, that was Giorgio.
That's the name of the
Moroder.
song. Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Didn't Giorgio Moroder write Danger Zone?
No, that's Kenny Loggins.
I know Kenny Loggins sang it.
Mike
Or
is
he
stuck
did-
on these danger
Marauder-
zones, final
Marauder-
countdowns.
Marauder did something on Top Gun. He did something. I don't know if it's a Top
Oh.
Gun theme. Anyway,
Top
sorry.
Gun had a bunch of different songs in it, but
So
yeah,
Hans
You
Zimmer.
see his name everywhere. He's got tons of Oscars. I know that.
And he's got a composer's name. It's like when he was born, it's like Hans Zimmer. He's gonna be a composer.
Yeah.
what else are you gonna do?
that
Yeah.
or a Nazi.
God.
One of the two.
He-
All right,
he-
Zeus.
Oh
you're
shit!
six.
He did
Fiddler's
take my
Fist.
breath away.
Take my breath away. I knew he did one of those.
Wait, he wrote that, or
He
what?
wrote the song. Yeah,
Wow.
Kidding. Whose song was that? Was
Blonde.
Someone named
Blondie? No.
no, not Blondie.
Sing that. No, I think it was Nina. I want to say it was Nina.
He wrote the
No, it was
song,
a
but
guy
I-
that sang it, right?
take my breath away.
Berlin.
Berlin. That's
The
it.
group Berlin.
Oh, that makes sense with the Nazi connection.
The Nazi connection. It's a Nazi song.
Yeah.
So Hans-
Take my breath
I didn't
away.
even know he did. Okay, that makes my
has
pick
to
even
do
better.
with concentration camps. Take my breath away.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Okay,
Michael.
Zeus, you're editing this one. Remember
All right,
Whoa.
Zeus, you're up.
who farted?
I'm up, huh?
You're up, number 6.
Okay, for number 6, everybody, you have to sing your soundtrack song, and we'll see if we can guess it.
I don't know if that's gonna be possible.
Yeah, I don't
But
think that's
try
going
it.
to happen. It just, yeah. Seems unlikely. So my number 6, huh? I mean, I'm probably gonna go. I'm gonna go with The Commitments. It's not a really well-known movie,
Oh yeah.
but I'm a huge Wilson Pickett fan. I love my Motown, and the cool thing about it is one of my other soundtracks is going to come from one of the artists from that movie. But
Mustang Sally, wasn't that on there?
Mustang Sally was on it. It was all Wilson Pickett tunes.
Dude, that album, when that movie came out and that album came out, it was like a phenomenon. Like that thing, you couldn't swing a dead cat without hearing that soundtrack
It was this
for like a year.
ugly, red-headed Irish kid that could wail like he was born in South Detroit. Like he was fucking amazing, and it was just a well-done movie. But man, whenever that guy would get up on stage,
I would say the soundtrack was bigger than the movie.
oh, and the movie's really good.
No. I'm not talking about whether it's good or not. I'm saying I think the soundtrack was bigger than the movie.
I think it got an Oscar though, so they're probably pretty.
That soundtrack sold like
It
crazy, man.
It was such a great soundtrack. And I mean, really, the cool thing about it was none of the original artists singing it. It was all just this hodgepodge. They got a guy that could sing, they got a guy that could play the guitar, but really, in real life, they could sing and they could play the guitar, but they were not known. Nobody from that except for Glenn Hansard. And I think the guy he's from Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. He was in 28 Days Later. This weird little guy. He was in Train Spotting. He's about the most famous guy that was in it. But it's kind of cool to see something like that where it was all just no-name people and they crushed it. Just crushed it. But yeah, that's one of my favorite like original soundtracks, or the artists are all originals. Yeah, it's a good one.
Well, my number 6 we've already talked about, so we can go right to Mike. And it's Purple Rain.
All right.
Purple Rain. Can you guess it?
You see?
Yeah.
Well,
So yeah, it's probably a bad
it was
song
kind
pick.
of in this title.
But that was my number 6 was Purple Rain, which we really talked about. So you're up, Mike.
So for number 6, I don't even know if that would rank number 6 in my life, but or in my thing, but it's in there. Or no, number 6. Oh shit, no, number 6. Number 6 is Friday. I'm a fan of gangster rap. I love Dr. Dre. I love Ice Cube. So it's like
Great
that.
Knock the fuck out.
That's a
Ring
great
ding
soundtrack.
dong. That song is
Ding,
great. Ring
ding,
ding dong.
Ding a ding 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 dong.
Yeah, man.
Get your heads. Yeah.
Exactly. So Friday for me, the movie's awesome. You know, like it was Ice Cube's first attempt at writing a movie, and it was such a smash hit. You know, and there's like three of them, or is there three of them, or four of them maybe? I don't know.
I think
think
there's four. Yeah, it was like next Friday,
Yeah,
Friday
like
after
Friday
next.
next month, 1 year from Friday.
And I think we talked about this, but Ice Cube's son was in the Obi-Wan Kenobi
Oh,
series.
really?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there you go. Some fun facts. So yeah, I like gangster rap. So you know, I had to
Sweet.
throw in Friday.
Gotta like some
Nice.
NWA.
My number
Um,
6. I'll give you another George Lucas movie. I said Star Wars for my number 8, but before he did Star Wars, American Graffiti.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you guys remember this.
Yep.
Great soundtrack, and the way they mix. I mean, talk about a soundtrack, fitting with the movie to that degree, and it had like 40 plus songs. Rock Around the Clock, Runaway,
Runaway's a good
Buddy
song.
Holly, At the Hop, The Stroll, when they would do like the cruising up and down the street.
That was
They had
actually
the
Mike's
Wolfman
number 10
Jack
or
kind of mixed in to the movie as well. Like it's like kind of like it was almost like listening to the radio like all the way through the movie. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's my number 6. So.
That was my honorable mention. My
Oh,
dad.
honorable mention. That's
That
right.
was
It wasn't 10.
It was my dad had the quadruple vinyl, which was like
It's
full.
a huge soundtrack.
Yeah,
It's one of those movies where they play, and a lot of movies do, where they just play like little snippets of the song, and then the whole song, the entire song will be on the soundtrack.
right.
But
No, it's a fantastic soundtrack.
So,
All right. Number 5.
so for me, my number 5, and this one for me, I'd put it higher, except just the other ones are so stellar for me. But I have to say the soundtrack for the movie, and it's odd because it's one of the ones that really makes the movie. It's why I went to go see the movie when I heard the main song, and that's The Crow.
Oh,
The Crow is, and it much like The Big Chill that we'd mentioned earlier, or American Graffiti, fit in the time period that they are.
Big time.
The Crow was all grunge. Like,
oh yeah!
music
Wow.
made it more. Everybody on that album exploded, if not before that, after it.
And also had Helmet on there, had like The Cure. Was
Yeah,
Cure?
Rage Against the Machine.
Stone Temple Pilots.
Violent
Rollins Band was on there.
Pantera.
9 Inch Nails.
Nice.
Violent
That was
Femmes.
a ridiculous album, man. That,
Jesus and Mary Chain was on that.
but just for the Big Empty, driving faster in my car.
But
Oh,
9
yeah.
Inch Nails,
Wait.
Dead Souls, the Joy Division cover, that was pretty awesome.
That was an amazing soundtrack. Like one of the soundtracks of like my youth. Like I can't get past that. I'm not gonna get my next one. My next one will match up with this one pretty close. But
That's
yeah,
a good pick.
and such a
Yeah.
great movie, and the music fitted so.
Oh yeah.
well. The darkness, there was redemption in
The
some
whole feel of the soundtrack matched the movie perfectly.
and everything about that movie was a little bit of art, like the cover with him standing there, just kind of walking in through the big white. Oh man, just a
That was good.
killer album. Anyway, I'm spent.
And I'm not
Me out.
I'm just speeding up a little bit, just keeping an eyeball on the time because we're only half done. That's why I'm jumping. But my number 5 is Repo Man soundtrack,
Nice.
which is, again, I still have the cassette. I'm surprised it survived. Yeah, if you're not familiar with it, if you like early punk, if you like, Suicidal Tendencies, the Plugs,
Circle Jerks. Hell
Circle
yeah.
Jerks are on it. Iggy
Black
Pop
Man.
makes an appearance again.
Wow, that's dope.
Fear is on there, man. It is, and if you haven't seen the movie,
Such a
What
weird
was
movie.
Repo Man? Was that like
Emilio
Emilio
I'm thinking of like
Estevez.
Wesley Snipes, but that's not.
No,
it.
it was
Emilio
Emilio
Estevez.
Estevez, and what the old guy's name? He was in everything.
He played Frog.
Candles.
Oh, yeah, I know who you mean. I can't remember his name.
That
but
guy. Yeah.
It's a road movie kind of, but it's hard to explain. It's definitely a punk movie.
It's
It was
about two repo men.
It was directed or
aliens,
written
right?
by Michael Nesmith. Yeah,
Really?
it's a
Okay.
there's like a Ford Rambler that's carrying a alien body in it.
But it's such a backdrop to the rest of
it's an excuse to
That's a
have a
backdrop.
movie. Yeah, that's
I
a
gotta
backdrop.
say, I've heard
It's
that.
important, but it doesn't.
That's a hidden gem movie.
It is a hidden gem.
Oh,
And actually,
it's absolutely.
it's got one of the best openings too, because like they have this shot from behind and this Ford with the alien in the back. It's crossing across like the LA freeway from screen right to screen left. So it's like it's crossing left, but it's got the right blinker on.
So this sounds like 1995, somewhere in there.
84.
No, I think it was
80 earlier.
It was
yeah,
early 80s.
It was
early 80s.
It was a
Estimates?
very eclectic film. It was so bizarre.
Michael Nesmith either directed it or wrote it or both. I can't remember.
It's driving me crazy not knowing this guy's name.
I think it was Estevez's first
Stanton?
movie. Harry Dean Stanton.
Harry Dean Stanton, yes.
From
He
Pumpkinhead
was
fame and yeah.
He was
all
so
that.
good.
So anyway,
What a
yeah,
cool
just
actor.
classic movie, classic soundtrack. All right, Mike, you're up.
So number 5 for me was Royal Tenenbaums, and again, this is going on my 20s. I was like, at this time period, I loved this kind of music. Well, I mean, it had Elliott Smith on it, and then there was like sort of mixed in with like this classical music where it had like these little quintets or whatever on it. It's so like Nick Drake's on it. It's
Oh wow.
and Nico's on it and Velvet Underground. So it has like a great eclectic feel. And going along the lines of Juno, it has that same feel. And in this time period, Wes Anderson made this vibe of movie sort of popular, and a lot of people were sort of going after it, like Jason Reitman was in Juno.
Yeah.
So I really
stole the same set of artists too.
Yeah, there is some
Same troupe. Similar troupe.
So it just went along in that whole time period where I liked, and the movie itself is cool, you know, like it just was a cool movie. And now that I look back at it, there's a bunch of elitist fucks, but it's just very funny. Wes Anderson, you could tell, probably grew up, you know, in the high end of the money spectrum, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But not that I'm not here to eat the rich. I'm just, you know, fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck the police coming straight from the underground.
There you go. Zeus knows.
All right. My number 5. I'm going to give you a movie. There probably aren't very many like this, but it's got that traditional score, and then it also has like the regular like pop music kind of mixed in. Back to the Future.
Oh,
Think about that main score to that movie, which was great. I love that main score, and then you got the Huey Lewis stuff mixed in there, and Johnny B. Bad is mixed in there. I mean, there aren't very many movies like that where you've got this sort of the score and then the other songs,
contemporary songs and then older songs. Yeah.
So that's
and it all works.
Johnny B. Good, isn't Johnny B. Good in one of those?
Yeah. He's
and
in
it works.
that first one. The main
one,
yeah.
That's great.
Cool.
All right, you're up, Zeus. Number 4
for me. 4 for me is maybe not the best movie, but as far as pure 90s soundtracks, I gotta go with Singles. Does anybody remember that movie?
Oh yeah.
Singles.
It was all Alice in Chains.
Cameron Crowe.
Yeah, Cameron Crowe really crushed it for a while there. It was all Alice in Chains and
Pearl Jam.
Mother Love Bone, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and then they were in the movie.
They were in the movie too.
Matt Damon couldn't have played a grunge guy better. It's probably one of his best roles.
Or Matt Dillon. Was it Matt Dillon?
Did I say Matt Damon? Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Yeah, it was before he was born. It's like
Matt Dillon was amazing. And Eddie Vedder. I've been just off by a little bit on a few things, but there's this great scene in the movie where it's like Eddie Vedder and Chris Cornell and then Stone Goddard. You either know them or you don't, but they're all big grunge guys. And Matt Damon's bitching because their album isn't doing well, and Eddie Vedder they're all watching like National Geographic, high as kites, and he's like, I can't believe this, Matt Dillon is, and Eddie Vedder just looking stoned as hell. He's like, dude, a vote for us is a vote for you, but just how fucking stoned he comes off. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
And that was before that was before 10 came out.
That movie probably launched grunge on a couple levels. It was big. It was big when it came out. And I mean, Alice in Chains, my Wi-Fi here is weird, but find out when Man in the Box came out and when Singles came out. I'll bet you they're within a year.
Singles came out in 92.
That sounds about right. I'll bet Man in the Box was either a year before or a year after, somewhere around
1990.
Yeah,
2 years.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
But-
so it all came out around the same time.
It all just blew up right around there. Doc Martens, flannel, everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
That's a solid movie. So
I've never seen that movie. That's great. Well, I mean, obviously, I was a little ass kid at the time, but I mean, I
It's so
still
good.
like Nirvana and stuff like that when I was real little. So I don't know. Anyway,
it's really good. If
I'll
you
have to check
like
it
that
out.
music, you got to see that movie.
yeah, man, that music's bad.
It's definitely like a slacker movie though.
Mm.
Oh,
I mean, it is it's kind of a rom-com a little bit too.
but not obnoxious with it.
Mm-mm.
Like the people don't end up with who you thought they would in it. Like the Matt Damon, Bridget
Mhm.
Fonda connection.
Oh yeah, Bridget Fonda.
You're totally
God,
expecting
it was-
they're gonna hook up, and they don't, and like just all
You
kinds
just completely ruined the movie for Mike, by the way.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Yeah, man. He said he was going to see it. You just
Thanks,
Move.
Zeus.
Just get the
Gave
soundtrack.
away.
The soundtrack is
Okay.
It's like the soundtrack of the 90s.
number 4. I'm quick. I had Crow for
Oh.
all the reasons Zeus stated. That was my number 4.
Solid soundtrack. Number 4 for me, which the movie is kind of ridiculous, but it was great. It was blaxploitation in the 70s, but like the soundtrack itself was just something that sticks out. I mean, it's classic. Superfly, Curtis Mayfield. I mean, that whole album is just such a badass. I was listening to it today, actually, at work. I was like just jamming the shit out of it because it's just so good.
Listen to that again.
Yeah, it's so good, man. And it has the Pusher Man. The Pusher Man. And that's the only part of the song I know.
Superfly.
Yeah, it's dope. It's dope. It's a good album.
All right, Tommy, number 4.
Superfly.
We're on 4.
Number 4, I'm going to give you Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
And-
that is
Definitely not a bad
Talk
sound.
about, the movie where the soundtrack was kind of like a plot point,
In the
believe it or
movie.
not, where he
Yeah.
had this mixtape from his mom and he's carrying it all around the galaxy, listening to the songs. Hooked on a Feeling was on there, Spirit in the Sky, Come and Get Your Love was the main one, Cherry Bomb by the Runaways, Pina Colada song. It's just a bunch of like great songs mixed in there.
And it was
Yeah.
in the movie. Yeah, it was like
But
a
to
piece
make
of the
it,
movie.
make it a plot point, a MacGuffin, I guess.
So
you'd
hooked
call
on a
it.
feeling into a movie, it's hard not to like the movie.
Yeah, no,
It's probably like during a fight scene or something.
yeah, it's always in the weirdest spots, right? But
Yeah, Such a
uh,
great song.
I really like your choice there because it is absolutely such a, especially, I mean, to have these songs in a movie now that's marketed to kids and adults, but like, they want kids to see it too. So it definitely, like, I know my niece, when the movie first came out and she was young, she was into just, all this garbage, whatever. But then she listened to the soundtrack and she just really liked the soundtrack so
Right.
much because the movie made the songs, pop out. And yeah, that's a great choice.
Yeah, it had
There's
to
a
work.
warmth
I
to
mean, the idea was that it was his mom's favorite
Right.
songs, so they had to be like older.
Well, and
So you couldn't really use like the modern.
And in that, it locked you into the time zone that the movie began in. So you're always kind of reminded that this
Right.
is like 70s, maybe 80s. I think
Yeah,
right
right in there.
70s. But yeah, it was a clever way of indoctrinating. Actually, we talked about indoctrination before, but this is actually a good place where, like, you got these young kids today, and you got them to listen to something that wasn't necessarily the style that they would normally listen to, and it was rocking shit, man. It was like just good, feel good music. That's a very good soundtrack. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that one.
AM Gold, baby.
So we're now on 4.
3.
No, 3.
Wow, this is tough.
Top 3.
All right, I am gonna have to go with, this is probably my favorite musical I've ever seen, and if you haven't seen it, you got to go out and get it. It's an album. It's a movie called Once. Okay, so nobody's heard anything about it.
No, I've heard of that.
Once
was, I was saying it with the Commitments. There was this guy, the guy playing the guitar. He had this long curly hair, a guy named Glenn Hansard, and he does once got the Oscar, like 10 years.
I'm writing it down.
But I can listen to that album over and over and over, and enjoy it constantly. It's one of my favorite soundtracks.
What songs are in there?
There's one called Falling Slowly. Listen to Me Now. There's a few. I just listen to it. I don't actually like listen. I don't really look at the titles. Falling Slowly is
It's original music.
It's all original music.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
And the from the very beginning of the movie,
Oh, it's almost all like Glenn Hansard.
it's all Glenn Hansard,
Okay.
this girl, Luca, something or other. Most people have never heard of them, but
Okay.
Mike,
No, I know who they are, but yeah, I
Mikey
didn't.
P, you might be able to do it for us. See if you can find Falling Slowly. If you can you play it through this? Just.
Mm-hmm.
But the first song on it is right at the beginning, and it gets you into the movie from go. Oh, but wait, if we play it, then we can't make money off. Well, we're not making money anyway.
Yeah, we're not going to play it.
No playing.
Oh, no. Yeah, play it. Whatever. Don't
Play.
take it out.
This is it.
Yeah. And the whole album's not slow like this. Good stuff. That's enough.
So
Just
what's
to
the
give
I've
movie
heard that
about?
before.
What?
What is the movie about? Real quick. I mean, just like a quick.
So
Is it like a fantasy? Is it?
it starts off, and like they even pull it. It's got clever little musical, like, stage musical kind of connections, but it's done as live film. But he is a guy that works for his dad in a vacuum shop, and he at the beginning of the movie, he's playing his guitar and he's collecting money for it. And the song that he sings there is, I can't remember the name of it, so I don't want to butcher it, but it's just, he starts singing and it's kind of slow like that, and then he just starts screaming and yelling and just fucking angry. And then this guy comes by and steals all his money. And like this is the first 2 minutes, he's chasing the guy around. And then comes around, the guy gives him his money back. He actually knew each other. And he's walking along, and this beautiful girl comes up, and she throws a quarter or something, whatever, a pence, it's in London, into his guitar case. And he asks her out for coffee. And then it's this slow building romance, but not like oogie, rom-com kind of stuff. It's like there's pitfalls, and they're loving each other at the wrong times, and it's just it's a killer movie. It's one of my, I mean, like amongst movies, musicals alone, or I mean outside of just music, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It moves me every time I see it. I get butterflies at one point or another. really, really great movie. And it's like the love thing. Like it's like those times where you were with that girl and you wanted to say something and you didn't, and then you regretted it, and then you found out you were right for regretting it because that was the exact time you could have nailed it. You know what I mean? Like it's like just all that shit, all those balls of emotion that you get inside you. It's all in this movie.
I will check. I've never even heard of it, so I will
it's subtle
check it out.
and it's sweet and it's kind and it's got a fucking rocking soundtrack. You'll listen to it more than once, I guarantee.
I've got I won't spend too much time on it because we all know this one, but my number 3 was Saturday Night Fever. Just because as a kid, when I was growing up,
sing a song from it. I'm not familiar. Can you sing a song?
I'm not gonna sing, man. But I mean, the opening scene with the paint can and the love theme. Anyway, when I was a kid, my best friend's parents, my parents were not into disco, but my best friend's parents, they were into disco, and I'd spend the night at his house, and Miss Charlotte would come down the stairs in a number, and Mr. Chuck would have like the suit. And they'd go out, they'd get in the Camaro or they had a Camaro and a Grand Prix.
Damn right they did.
And they would get back, we'd already be asleep. You know,
this
and I was
doesn't
just
sound like a couple I would leave my children with.
Not at all.
Well, no, we were. My friend's older brother
Mr.
would
Chuck
hopped up on
Chuck.
scotch and coke.
No, my friend's older brother would
God.
watch us, but I have so many memories of that. And that whole time, anyway, I love that soundtrack.
I thought
Yeah, I
you were
bet
going
you
to
have some
one
memories.
of your friends jumped off a bridge going, "It used to be you, Johnny.
Yeah.
You."
All right, you're up, Mike.
Number 3 for me is a Richard Linklater classic, Dazed and Confused.
Oh yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's a great one.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes along the line of like, I don't know, I guess Forrest Gump has that same vibe, but it's more of that 70s rock, you know, like the 60s are dead, 70s came in and started rocking out, and ZZ Top's on, Stranglehold, The Nuge,
Yeah.
Skinner, Kiss, Black Sabbath, Deep
Yeah, it was
Purple.
It was like that burgeoning 80s music. It
Yeah.
was like that Ozzy Osbourne. I think Ozzy was in there at some point too. It was like that. Is that like
Black
on a
Sabbath.
darker
ZZ
path?
Top, Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fogat,
Ball Gag,
Nazareth,
Slow Ride.
and
Nazareth.
yeah, baby. And then Lowrider. I remember that was the first time I heard Lowrider from War, and
Wow.
I just like once I heard that song, I was just like, "This is I love." I mean, War is amazing.
Yeah, War is a great band.
It's so good. So yeah, Dazed and Confused, and plus I was like a very young pothead, and when this kind of came out, this sort of resonated. I started smoking weed when I was like
You were a
10 or
budding
11.
pothead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now he's a veteran
a
pothead.
budding pot. Yeah, I
You
get it.
get it?
That was hilarious, dude. Seriously, that was good.
That's
That
great.
made me think. This isn't my number 3, but that made me Lowrider. You made me think of the Pee Wee Herman's adventure with
Yeah.
Lowrider and Tequila. There's
Yeah.
some good songs in that, but that's not my number 3.
Oh.
Number 3.
I will give you. God, I don't know what to choose from. There's so many. I'm gonna give you one of our former guests, another Mike. What's his name? Mike Messier.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember, he said his favorite movie of all time was Highlander.
Oh,
I'm gonna give you Highlander. The entire
You know what?
soundtrack was by Queen,
All
Oh,
Queen.
yeah.
believe it or
Yeah.
not. And
Another
that
classic,
title
yeah.
track, there can only be great, fantastic. I don't know. What can I
No,
say?
listen. Anybody here that doesn't like fucking Highlander, there's something wrong with them. That's
And
a.
Queen
Does it?
did-
I watched it recently after
holds
Mike
up.
came on, and it doesn't hold up quite that well, but it's a good,
But it still
it's a
holds
great
up.
movie.
You can see why they're doing a reboot.
It could use a reboot. Yeah, it's
I
a
didn't
little
even
dated.
think-
And it's
I
with
didn't-
the greediest man ever, Henry Cavill.
I didn't think of this one, but Queen did Flash Gordon too, man. That was a great soundtrack.
God, yeah. And Iron Eagle. Iron Eagle was all
Mhm.
Queen songs.
Wow.
All right, Zeus.
None
you're
of those
up.
movies were any good. Well, I guess Highlander was okay.
Flash Gordon is
Flash Gordon was great, man.
Flash Gordon is
Timothy
awesome.
Dalton's
Don't
in
noise
that.
me, man, you prick.
Yeah.
The Eagle
Okay.
Man, and yeah.
Speaking of number twos, go ahead, Zeus.
Okay, so
Yes.
my number 2 and my number 1 are hard to pick between. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Reservoir Dogs first,
Mm-hmm.
and because my number 1, some people will disagree with, is another album, but Reservoir Dogs is cool, but you do have to watch the movie to like really get the vibe they're going with. Like, I mean, it's a great collection of songs, but one would doubt that you put this collection of songs together on your own. Like, that takes the genius that is Quentin Tarantino to do that. But one of my favorite things in the entire movie, I can't remember what the song was, but there's this great scene. Everybody's seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's this scene where the guy, Mr. Blonde, is cutting the guy's ear off, pouring gasoline, just torturing him.
Isn't that the stuck in the middle?
Yeah.
Stuck in the middle. Is it
Yeah.
stuck in the middle? Okay.
It is.
So the cool thing is he's doing all this and he runs out of his torturing shit. So he walks outside, and then this is another one of those country for old men moments. He walks outside and the music fades and it's like behind the door and you're hearing kids in the playground.
Right.
All this other stuff, and it's quiet and it's serene, and it's like a sorbet. It like takes you away from the ugly violence that you were just seeing, and he's just dancing along. Like,
Yeah.
doing
It's
a
definitely
couple
some
twists,
psychopath
goes
shit.
Goes
Then
out of
he
the car,
goes back
and
in
that's when
there.
he gets the gasoline, and then he goes back in, and then you hear the guy screaming again, and he's like stuck in the middle with you, comes back up. Just what a freaking amazing scene in a movie. But the other cool thing about that is Stephen Wright is the one that's
Oh,
doing
he's the DJ.
work throughout the whole thing, and he's like,
Yeah.
little green bag. It just fucking, man.
Well, the way Stephen Wright says the monster truck extravaganza, it's like hilarious. Man. Puts
He
an R
is
on it.
king of deadpan. But man, yeah, and that was the cool thing about that too, was the DJing in between the songs. You this is mid 90s.
Super
did you get
hits of the 70s or something. I can't remember what he called it.
Oh my god, what a great soundtrack.
Wasn't he the DJ on Natural Born Killers too?
Was he? I don't know.
He had a part in Natural Born Killers. I think he was the DJ in that as well.
Man,
Quentin
that was a good
Tarantino wrote that
soundtrack.
movie.
Yeah,
That
I
was
was
a
gonna
good
say there's the
soundtrack.
Tarantino connection.
I gotta
so
put
it
that
was-
on my honorable mention. I
Yeah.
forgot about that one. Natural
That's
Born
a
Killers was a
great-
great soundtrack. L7 song on there. They have Patsy Cline on there.
Yeah, that one, that album I've listened to countless times.
Oh shit!
So my number two, it's I'm not going to say it's a fantastic soundtrack. It's one of my personal favorite albums of all time, and I'm not even a huge Dylan head, but I love the movie. It's soundtrack for Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, which Bob Dylan did the score for. It's also the soundtrack that has "Knocking on Heaven's Door" in it, written for the movie. Actually, a lot of people don't realize that. And
God, that thing's been done for so many movies. That song has been done for so many movies afterwards.
I know, and it's a pivotal scene in the movie where it's used, but just the score for it, the fact that Dylan's actually has a small role in the movie. But yeah, I got that for Christmas. My sister gave me that soundtrack because I love the movie so much, probably like 20 years ago.
And it's
And
all
again,
Dylan? I don't know
It's
this.
all Dylan. No, it's all Dylan. It's period songs. A lot of it's instrumental. It's got some original songs on it. Some, it's all him though. It's all him playing, and all him singing. But yeah, it's a good soundtrack. It's one of my favorite albums, much less soundtracks. All right, Mike.
Well, this one's already been talked about, but Purple Rain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you had it number 2. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. No, it is. It's amazing.
Well, you know what? I mean, I said it as my like 6, and I like started screaming and ranting and
It would
raving.
be number one.
It's the only one I said. I think I should have moved it up on my list. It's amazing. What is it about it for you, though, Michael?
Well, I mean, besides the movie being like kind of terrible, but like the movie's just fun. It's a fun movie, but I don't know. I mean, Let's Go Crazy, like all those. It's a classic album, man. I mean, and the fact that it's a soundtrack too, that there's a movie attached to it, is just amazing. So, yeah, basic likes.
One of the best scenes in that movie, and what was her name? Is it Apollonia, right? The hot chick.
Yeah.
But I love when he's like, you got to get naked and go swim in Lake Winnetonka or whatever.
Yeah.
And she goes and gets in, and he's like, "No, that's not the lake I was talking about. That's like Lake Burke."
Winnetonka, I think.
Yeah.
Winnetonka.
Swimming naked in the lakes of Lake Winnetonka. Yeah.
That dude was a player, man.
Oh yeah, he got so much puss.
Oh, you think?
He's swimming in it.
So where do your
number 2? I'm gonna cheat again because I got so many more movies on my list, and I'm gonna squeeze them all in with one composer, John L. Williams. I don't know if we have to like give like lots of extra credit to John Williams, because I wanted to mention it. So I got Superman on my list. That theme for Superman, it gives me goosebumps every time I listen to it. I love that theme. Jaws. The theme to Jaws, which was also the theme to Airplane, another great movie. He did Harry Potter. He did Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, yeah.
Star Wars, right?
I mean, just so many.
Star Wars, yeah.
He did a bunch of things. I mean, so.
Well, he was the man for Spielberg and Lucas. So.
Yeah. But dude, Jaws is definitely iconic. Star Wars, man. If you hear my ringtone on my phone is Darth Vader's March.
March.
The Raiders theme was iconic.
Is that when your wife calls you?
Like every
Imperial March.
Yeah, like he had a song for each character. Like you.
Yes.
If you were sitting there not looking away, you could tell when Luke came in because Luke's song.
Right, Luke's theme.
And he kept it up even for Phantom Menace, Duel of the Fates. That was a fantastic song.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys remember that.
He's probably the greatest musician on our list.
Greatest composer, yeah. So I'm killing like 4 birds with one stone there.
That's a fair one.
All right, Zeus, number one.
Number one, I think Michael, can you guess what my number 1 is? You piece of hot.
Well, I had it as number 10, so it's close. I mean, 0 doesn't mean anything, so it's kind of like we had it as number 1 together. Mine
is, and there's another reason why Tarantino is amazing. It's Pulp Fiction. Here's another thing. I was just thinking about it because in that they also had little snippets between each songs.
Yeah.
And when I think about it, and Mikey P, you're probably too young to really vibe with this, but I'm sure you will on some level. We all had this period where we had our tape recorders where you push the red and you push the 1 button and the 2 go down and you record. And we all do our little fake radio shows and little goofy things with their friends.
Put things together.
And that's kind of what Tarantino did with those 2 albums, at least.
It was like a mixtape where you recorded it off the radio.
Yes, but you'd also put in your own little tidbits. I think that's why it resonates so much.
That's a good point, Zeus. That's a very good point.
I think that's why it resonates because, like, when I think about it, I'm thinking about like when you're about to hear, I forget which song it is, but he does his whole, and Mikey P said it earlier. He says, "Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead." Like he picks like the right scene, and they didn't always even match up with the song where it was in the movie. But man, that album crushes.
And Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, the Neil Diamond cover by Urge Overkill.
Urge Overkill, hell yeah. And the scene with that is perfect.
You know, Zed's dead, baby. Zed's
flowers
dead.
On the wall. What?
The Zed's dead scene. That is the final scene in the movie chronologically. Like if you the way the stories interact, that's it. That would be like if you put the movie together the way it happens, that would be roll credits after that scene. And
No.
yeah, and he goes
No,
off into
because-
the sunset. He goes off into the sunset.
If I'm not mistaken, after he said, "Oh no, Zed's dead," yeah, because Zed was dead. I was thinking he was.
And
driving-
Tarantino cuts to a wide
Yeah.
shot, and they go off into the sunset, and that's the final thing in the
One of
movie,
best
which is just
scenes of the
awesome.
Movie. And do you know who Kathy Griffin is? Kathy
Mhm.
Griffin shows up in it at one point.
She is in it. Yeah.
It's just such a great scene because Bruce Willis is driving around counting flowers on the wall. Makes no difference at all. And then suddenly he stops and there's Ving Rhames standing in front of the car. And Ving Rhames just pulls out a gun.
Drops the donuts. I don't even think he drops the donuts.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
does.
know.
He drops something. I'm pretty sure he
Yeah.
does.
But then he shoots a woman. And then Kathy Griffin runs up. Nobody knew who she was. She was obviously an up-and-coming actress at that point. But it's so funny because then when I saw her later on, I was like, that's that annoying bitch from Pulp Fiction. But man, the soundtrack is the choreography of that soundtrack, or whatever you want to call it, the composition of that soundtrack for that movie is, for me at least, there's nothing better. I didn't put Forrest Gump on this list, and I wish I had. It just slipped my mind. Forrest Gump is right there with it, but Tarantino, man,
It's one of his big skills, man.
Yeah, he's a real masterful artist in every way, shape, and form. For me, I'm a huge Tarantino fan, but
Yeah.
that album is probably the one I've listened to more than any of the other ones, except for maybe Once, which I want you guys to text me once you listen to Once, because you're gonna be.
I will check it out. So my number one, definitely from the 90s. And again, I think it's just a fantastic soundtrack. It's one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. And it's just packed and the picture behind me is from it, but it's Until the End of the World by Wim Wenders. It's got U2 on it, Crime in the City Solution, Elvis Costello, Nick Cave, Depeche Mode, Lou Reed, Patti Smith. I mean, it is fantastic, and it's like The Crow. It perfect. Talking Heads are on it. It perfectly captures the mood of the movie, and the movie was, I think it came out in 92, but it was like the first time I ever saw like a widescreen, flat screen television. It's a futuristic movie, and Sony actually allowed him to use like very early flat screen TVs in this. So it was like, at the time, it was like, whoa, what is this? But it kind of, I wouldn't say it predicted a lot, but it definitely has a lot in there has kind of come to pass with like social media and how people are kind of narcissistic navel gazers at this point. It's basically, the premise is that you can this guy comes up with a technology to record your dreams, and people get addicted to like watching their own dreams, to the point where they stop doing anything else. But there's a lot more to it than that. But anyway, if you haven't seen the soundtrack or heard the soundtrack,
No, I'm gonna get
check it out, because it's
That
awesome.
movie sounds dope, though.
The movie is good. The movie is it's kind of a slow movie, so it's a road movie. It was shot all over the world. Wim Wenders is a acquired taste as a director. I've seen him speak. I've met him before. His school of thought is like, if he films a character going to sleep at night and waking up in the morning, he would prefer to just leave the camera running for 8 hours the whole night and show you the
Oh,
person.
Jesus.
I mean, he doesn't do, but what I'm saying is he lets scenes to develop. He's not a quick cut type of guy.
Right.
His
He sounds
movies
like a
are very,
Werner Herzog type.
they're very cerebral, and if you start watching it when you're sleepy, you're not going to make it through. So, but William Hurt's in it.
I love William Hurt.
He's like the main character.
It sounds
Again.
very Werner Herzog. It also reminds me of a movie. I don't know if you remember. It was with Juliette Lewis and Michael Madsen called End of Days. I think Tim Roth.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
And like where they start recording each other, doing each
Mhm.
other because you could see other people's thoughts. It sounds very much like that.
But it is an acquired taste. I would say the soundtrack is probably better than the movie. But anyway, that's it. That's my number one.
I mean, I'm very pleased. Mike, what's your number one?
Well, drum roll. Here we go. My number one movie, soundtrack of all time, Pulp Fiction.
Oh,
Pulp Fiction, it's great. Boom. But I was just also thinking, bam, damn it. I wish I would have added this on. This might be a number one or number two for me. But Pulp Fiction
Let me
definitely.
guess. Waiting to exhale.
That's
The
one.
Bodyguard.
I love that. I love that album, or I love that soundtrack. It's so good. Whitney's a queen.
Yeah.
But Lost Highway, man, is a David
Oh.
Lynch movie, and I used to play that album so much over and over and over again. And it has David Bowie, it has Nine Inch Nails, it has Manson, and it has Lou Reed doing his version of This Magic Moment, which is just incredible.
wow.
And so, like, for that would probably be one of my top. But I definitely got to go with Pulp Fiction. That was like one of those soundtracks I just went. And just by the way, what?
It changes your life. It's a great.
Yeah, it's
album.
great. I mean, Dusty Springfield. I mean, Son of a Preacher Man. I just remember hearing that song and just being like, "What the fuck? Like, this is amazing." But I just wanted to speak back on something. You said I wasn't old enough. I used to make mixtapes just like that, son. Me and my sister would record off the radio. I used to do the DJ thing, but my
Nice.
dad had an extensive vinyl collection, so I used to play DJ, record vinyl onto a tape. And
Well, to
Nice.
quote our
Nice.
favorite musical movie, allow me to retort.
Yes.
What I like to say is, I said, I think you will vibe with it though, regardless.
yeah.
But we're talking, it's a different era. We're talking General Electric tape recorder.
Dude, they had tape
5x
recorders when they were around.
Nah,
I mean, you didn't have to have the brick,
Speaking of
the
streaming.
rectangular.
I had one of those too. My dad had one of those too. I used to
One
record like
speaker.
TV shows and stuff. Yeah, one
Just
speaker. I record TV shows,
It
snippets.
had the little counter on it, the little like
Yep.
3-digit counter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Remember when you're upgrading to the double deck?
Yes.
Cassette thing?
Double
Oh
deck.
yeah,
Wow.
high speed
Now
dubbing.
I've got it all now.
Nice.
I got
Took like
two cassette
75 Z batteries,
How about this?
weighed like
Remember when flat screen
2,700 pounds.
The screen was flat, but the TV still went
It was a
back.
tube. It
Yeah.
was still a tube behind it.
Wow, that's hilarious. I'm sorry if I insulted you, Mikey. And Mikey,
No,
to your credit,
I'm
I
just
did wanna
admitting
say
how
that-
old I am.
the one
Yeah.
thing that is cool, and you are definitely younger. And I love hearing you talk about Lou Reed and fucking who is Velvet Underground. Like those are well beyond your years. That
So
shows
beyond
that,
our years, dude. I mean, I didn't
Awesome.
discover Velvet Underground until the 80s.
what's that?
I didn't discover Velvet Underground until the late 80s. I mean, they were
That's
already.
20 then.
I'm just saying. No, well, anyway, approaching it. I'm saying none of us were around when Velvet Underground were doing their thing.
Yeah, they're
man.
from the '60s and stuff.
Yeah.
But Lou Reed is a deep cut. Like that's I just
That hurt when he left.
tell
man.
that you grew up in a very musical household.
You know, my dad definitely had. I mean, again, he had an extensive vinyl collection, which all got fucked up in the Great Basement Flood of
Oh,
2004.
Oh man.
It sucked, but you know, it happens. It happens.
So my biological father, he played with Randy Rhoads.
Oh hell yeah!
Quiet Riot, right? Randy, little known fact, Randy Rhoads started the band Quiet Riot,
Oh okay.
and he played with them, and he was in a band for a while called Bolt, and Bolt was a Ziggy Stardust ripoff from way back. So basically, to qualify it, it was the 70s way to get around with dressing up like a girl without anybody asking any questions.
Well, real quick, because we're gonna run out of time. anything more on Pulp Fiction, Mike? And then we got Tom's number
No,
one.
no, Pulp Fiction. I mean, we talked about it. I love that movie. I remember one thing. I remember I was staying at my sister's house, and I was in 8th grade, and they were watching the movie, and I woke up, and they were still partying from the night before, and fucking, I wake up to the scene where he's basically getting raped. Where Zed.
Zed.
Or not Zed.
again-
Zed is raping Marcel.
Marcellus Wallace.
Marcel, yeah, Wallace. And so, like, that's when I woke up in the movie. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like a kid. And these guys are all like teenagers, like very early 20s, maybe 18, 19. They're all watching it and they're all into this movie. And it just, that's when I woke up.
Too.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah. Yeah. He's really getting it too. He's really taking it. So, anyways.
Thanks,
Okay.
Zeus. I didn't remember, and now I remember it better.
yeah, just
I mean, to
paint the picture.
number one for me, I mean, any one of the ones that you guys named or any of my earlier ones could have been number one. And there's a bunch that we're not going to get. Lord of the Rings soundtrack was great. I love that one. The Godfather, John Carpenter's Halloween theme.
Oh, damn.
Psycho. Not
Bernard
just the
Herrmann.
beginning theme to that, where it's so hectic and she's like running away. And then the shower scene song, Sound of Music, Wizard of Oz is a great, I mean, those are musicals. So I'm going to pick, I don't know if this is really my number one. I'm going to throw it out there. Animal House. Remember Animal House?
Great. Yeah.
So,
Morris Day and the Times, they were doing, what was it?
Shout.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Shout was
That
great.
was them doing that on that? Wow, I did not know that. I didn't
Was it-
realize
well,
that.
wait,
Shout.
was it him? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Otis
and
Day,
then the-
Otis Day, right?
Otis Day.
Was
Yeah.
it? Is that who did it?
You said
Yeah.
Morris Day.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
close.
My
No,
God.
he's right. No,
I
he's
said the
right.
time.
It's Morris Day. It's Morris Day. He's right.
Is it Morris Day?
It's Morris Day in the Time.
Yeah.
Who's Otis? There's somebody named Otis.
Otis Day is another well-known.
Well, Otis Redding. is
Otis
somewhat
Redding.
known. I don't know if I think Otis Day works at the gas station.
No, he was right. No, he's right. It's Otis
From
Day in the night.
Milwaukee.
Oh, Otis Day in the night. Okay.
Yeah, I was wrong. Again,
Okay.
I'm over
So
here
I was
fucking
right.
it up again. Yes. Yes.
Check that shit
Otis
out.
Day and the night.
Mark that
Oh,
one on.
no, they were called. Okay. So it was Morris Day in the Times, but they were going by Otis Day and the Nights in the movie.
Oh, in the
Maybe,
okay,
hold
the
on.
stage.
So we're all right. We are all right.
Everybody's
so Otis Day
right.
does not exist. He's a character in a movie played by Morris Day in the Time. Tom's right because he said Otis Day, and Mikey P's right because it is Morris Day.
Well, Mikey Peace, right? Because he's got it on Google in front of him.
So we're all three right. It's It's like a
And
triple
there is
win.
somebody named Otis Redding, but I'm not sure how he fits in.
Otis
Sitting on the
Redding,
dock of the bay.
completely different artist.
Ah, okay.
He's
I don't
sitting
know
on
if
the
that
dock of
was,
the bay.
I'm sure that was in some soundtrack somewhere.
Otis Day is working at the bait shop at the end of the dock.
Animal House. Doom.
I had a couple
Yeah.
honorable mentions
That's
more
fine.
that I thought of during this was Pink Flamingo's soundtrack, which I know I'm a Baltimorean, but Pink Flamingo's the heavy metal soundtrack was
Oh, that's a
freaking
Heavy metal,
fantastic.
yeah.
Have you ever heard of that movie, Pink Floyd, The Wall? That's a pretty
Mhm.
good soundtrack.
That's a good.
It's kind of-
I forgot about that as a soundtrack. Holy
Yeah.
Some
shit.
of them, like a lot of people put Help on their top 10 soundtrack with
But
the
that's
Beatles, but to me, it's like, I mean,
It's an album.
Well,
yeah,
listen,
it was
you know,
music first, and then you just kind of made a movie around it.
as far as honorable mentions, I'd be remiss to not mention the movie Moulin Rouge, which has got a phenomenal soundtrack to it. But it just
Just
didn't make-
happy that Andrew Lloyd Webber didn't make any of our lists. Cats.
Ugh.
Didn't he do Jesus Christ Superstar?
I think so.
Did he?
It was
We leave
actually
on a
good.
dud.
That's a
Yeah.
good. That you're right.
It's
That's
good.
good.
That's good.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, how about or Hair? This is
Hair.
the dawn of the age of Aquarius.
And when Tom
60s for me.
mentioned Psycho, and I had him on here, but Bernard Herrmann in general with Hitchcock, he did the Vertigo soundtracks, like one of my favorite Hitchcocks, and he also did he did Taxi Driver, which is
Oh, wow.
again very minimalist, but
Who mentioned
I mean,
Goodfellas?
when you hear the Taxi Driver soundtrack, you know exactly it's from Taxi Driver. Like there's no mistake. So
I
tied.
don't think we explored the Scorsese end of things enough, because whoever mentioned Goodfellas, I'm starting to think that there was other really good soundtracks.
Well, Scorsese has "Gimme Shelter" by the Stones in every movie he's ever made.
Okay,
I think,
all right.
or almost all of them.
Yeah.
Well,
Except for
Apocalypse
Shine a
Now.
Light. It was not in Shine a Light, which was his documentary. But actually, they said that in there. That it was probably like his first movie he's directed that didn't have "Give Me Shelter" in it.
so
That's a
guys,
Stones movie.
I mean, we could probably go on for another hour
Yeah.
with more.
This is our longest episode, I think, ever.
this
Whenever we do a top 10, it's always a fiasco because it takes forever to get
this
through.
one we actually managed much better.
We
than-
should start doing like a top 7.
Top 3
five.
probably would be
Or
enough.
keep it down to an hour. All right. Well, at this point, Jack would usually say, "Guys, I think we've been on for quite a while. I'm a crotchety old man. Let's wrap this up."
I don't think he says that.
Yeah,
Yes,
and happy
that's
4th
exactly
of
what
July,
he says.
belated.
And then
And
he
thank
says,
you.
"Get off my land with your long hair and your rock and roll music."
Fair enough.
All right, thank you, Mike, for
Thank
joining.
you, Pete.
No worries.
Good
Thanks,
to
Sophie.
have you on.
Hey,
I will
good to be
order.
back,
We will be
guys.
ordering some hats, and we will be representing.